Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King. Today, I've got a few different things I want to give you updates about, and I want to talk about today. Some things I've talked about in the past. I want to fill you in on what's going on with different things. And one of the big ones is they're all kind of related, but the downsizing of my collection, which has sort of turned into an attempt to have my collection be a cost neutral endeavor for me. I buy a lot of comics. You've seen me over the last 2 years. I buy a lot of comics. I've been buying a lot of big keys. The money adds up. One thing I've been trying to do as I've been selling off stuff that I no longer need is to recoup the costs of some of those things I've been buying. But as I've been selling off stuff and buying new stuff, I've started keeping a tally of how much I've made selling things off. And I'm using that as my guide for how much I'm going to spend when I get stuff in. So every time I go to a comic book store, every time I'm at an antique store, every time I go on eBay or on a different online forum or something and I buy comics, I keep track. I have a running tally. And I wanted to show one of the big books that factors into this. So over the past, say, 4.5 months, I've sold nearly $6,000 worth of stuff on eBay, and I have been spending almost as much on stuff. All these comic stores I've been going to, there's a bunch of videos that you haven't even seen yet. Besides the 10 comic stores that I visited up in New Hampshire, where I spent almost $500 on that trip, I've been to several since then, and I've recorded more store visits, and I have tons of big keys that I'm going to be showing you. We're almost ready to start whittling down that pyramid, the giant pile of stuff that I've been getting over the past few months that have been piling up as I've been waiting for my lungs to recover, which I'll talk about in a minute. And so I've been spending a lot of money, and one of the big things I decided to do as part of this was actually downgrade one of my books. I started realizing, with the amount of money I'm coming in and going out, I'm spending so much money, it'd be very easy for my comic collecting to sort of get out of hand. And I ended up getting this. So you may remember some of my previous videos, I had a really nice copy of Avengers 8. Now, the Avengers 8 that I had before in some of my previous videos, I described it as an 8.0. I had gone on the CGC forums, I scanned the book, and there's a thing there we can have people on the forum sort of evaluate your book as best they can from the scans and guess what the grade is. And the consensus was an 8.0, which I agreed with. Just a great looking book, right? I was thinking about selling it for a while and downgrading, and when I started looking really carefully at it, I realized there was actually something on the cover, a couple spots of a clear something that was stuck on the cover. So the scans don't show it. You can't even really see it straight onto the naked eye, but if you turn the book at an angle, you could see that there's some spots of some kind of schmutz. And so that actually helped make my decision to get rid of it. I've had that comic for 30 years, and somehow I've never noticed the schmutz on the cover, even though when I got that copy number 8, I also got a copy number 7 that had the same thing, advertised as a 7.5, and then at some point I realized later that when you look at it at a certain angle, there's stuff on the cover. So I've been considering that to be a 5.5 for a long time. And when I realized that my Avengers 8 had the same thing, and it's really a 5.5 instead of the 8 that I thought it was for so long, it got me a little frustrated. That was a trade that I did at a comic store. At a comic book show. I didn't really have the opportunity to fully inspect the book. I guess I could have asked to take it out of the Mylar, but it was one of those things where, again, unless you're looking at it at a very specific angle very closely, it looks perfectly fine. And so both of those books were advertised as very fine pluses, and I felt like, 30 years later, a little bit of like the dealer there kind of got one over on me because he didn't disclose stuff that he should have been mentioning. It should have been more clear. He should have accurately graded the books, because I didn't really have the time at that. And I was much younger. Now, if I'm trading for something that expensive, I would probably spend more time looking at the book. But it kind of left a little bit of sour taste in my mouth. So I thought, you know what, let's sell that off. So I had thought when it was an 8, I thought I could sell it for $3,000. I ended up selling it for $1,650. And then I bought this lower grade, very solid lower grade copy for $875. And this is a copy that was advertised as a 3.5. And to me, it's definitely better than that. To me, it's probably at least a 4 and probably a 4.5. It is dirty. I think it's clean and press, but particularly the cleaning would really help it. And so I was very pleased with that. Very happy with this book. And so one thing that I've done is that went a long way towards like settling my books. That was sort of my initial. That was my starting point for my pool. I hadn't really been tracking it to that point. So I said, okay, here we go. From here on, I'm tracking. So I started with, that amount of money, and I sold a few other things. And the upshot is I currently have about $950 left in my pool to play with. I used about half of the money that I had left from this on another giant key, which I haven't shown you yet. Another couple of my haul videos, and you'll be seeing a big mega key that I got that I was so excited to get. But it's allowed me to sort of just rethink how I do my collecting. Now I have in my head, when I'm thinking about buying something, I have the numbers in my head. And I think to myself, well, if I'm going to get X, I need to sell off Y and Z. If I'm getting books that are over a certain price, I'm going to have to sell off things in my collection. And I actually think that's a healthy way to do it, not just for my wallet, but these collections, they can kind of get out of control. And I felt a couple times like the collection was in charge, and instead of me being in charge of my collection, I was sort of beholden to it. So cleaning this stuff out has really been good for me. And going forward, this is how I'm planning on doing things. I still have a pile put aside that I'm gonna be selling like on eBay, and I haven't gotten around to it because it is kind of a hassle to take the pictures and the scans and put the listings up. But at some point, when I start feeling like I need more money in my buying pool, I'll sell off some of the stuff I'm earmarked. And when I went on that trip to New Hampshire, and I spent almost $500 on that trip. But I did sell some of the books that I got on that trip, and I got about probably half of that back just from selling stuff that I bought on that trip and flipping it for a profit. And so, I'm always looking for books at stores, that are a good value, and I try and share that stuff with you so you'll have more knowledge about what to look for in stores. But it's a fun part for me. So I just wanted to share that. So the overhaul is at present time, it's done for now. I've sold off everything that I had marked to sell off, other than, again, like a little handful of like individual issues. All the big runs that I was going to get rid of, I've sold those off. I sold off the romance books that I was going to sell off. I still have now some cataloging to do. I have probably close to 500 comics that I've gotten since the last time I organized things, and they all need to be sorted and organized, and my checklist is relatively up to date, but I had a database with all of my collection in it, and that's completely out of date now. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do about that because I don't want to restart it. But the next step is probably the thing I like least about collecting, is the sorting and organizing and putting everything in the correct boxes and in the correct order. And it is very satisfying when you get all that stuff put away, but the process of putting away is just a giant hassle. I also wanted to give you an update on those breathing issues that I mentioned. Things are going much better. We had the mold remediation come in. There was mold in the house. That was the underlying cause of things. I'm still hypersensitive to mustiness as a result of that. I can definitely handle it better than I was handling it a few months ago. There was a point there, as you know, where if I would come in contact with something musty, even like a musty bag, I would have like an asthma attack and my chest would seize up. That's no longer happening. I can handle musty books for periods of time without that happening. I'm trying to limit it, but there's still a few things that I'm left trying to do with my romance books in particular, and some of my Archie books that are particularly musty. I'm going to be rebagging the entire romance thing over a period of time. I'm going to be rebagging the old Archie stuff because the bags absorb the mustiness, and doing that book by book will allow me to identify which specific issues are musty. It's very hard now. I pull out a box of romance, mustiness comes out, and there's 150 comics in there. I don't know where it's coming from. But when I open up book by book, I'll be able to much easier figure that out. The other thing I'm doing is, and the other update I really wanted to give you here, is an update on getting rid of mustiness. And you remember a year ago I put out a video where I was like, I'm gonna get there's a great thing that I found online where you put a box of cat litter and you put your comics in there and it gets rid of the mustiness, and I'll be right back when I tell you how well it worked. And I never posted the follow-up video, and the reason is it didn't work. So I'm still trying to figure it out. So what I've been doing recently is this. I've been trying dryer sheets. And the way this works is there's different variations on it, but basically you put some dryer sheets in with the comic. You have to take certain precautions with it. Some of the dryer sheets, they could potentially stain the comic. Some of them have they're scented and they can give the comic a different weird smell. But basically the idea is what I've done is I've put in, rather than a backing board, because I don't want to go through backing boards right now, I put in just a piece of regular paper in the comic bag with the comic, and then I put the dryer sheet on the other side of the paper so it's not touching the comic, seal the bag up, and then what I was told to do is every couple of days throw away that dryer sheet and put in a new one. Now the dryer sheets are very cheap. This box was $9 for 250, and so I've been doing that, and it's helped. The books are still musty. Some of them are still quite musty. They are not as musty as they were, so it is working. But one of the big variables here for me is there are so many different types of dryer sheets that I don't know for sure if I have the right type to really make this work. Because this on here, it doesn't say anything about smells, like on the box. It says it softens the fabric and controls static and reduces wrinkles. It doesn't say anything about odors. So it's possible that I just have the wrong brand. I was trying to get a free and clear one that didn't have the fragrances, and so I might have just gotten one that just doesn't work. So what I'm going to try next is actually I'm going to go away from dryer sheets. Part of me wants to get a different type of dryer sheets and keep trying this because it has been helping some. But instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next level. And in this packet here, I have micro chamber paper, special paper that is made for the preservation of old books. This is supposed to work similar to the dryer sheets. And this is something where like CGC uses micro chamber paper. They put it, you may have noticed if you have a CGC book, sometimes it'll have a little piece of paper sticking out. That's what this is. It's supposed to help absorb odors and things like that and protect the book. If it's sealed up like that, you can imagine kind of like, when you get like a bag of like beef jerky and it has that little bag inside that's like silicone, and that's to absorb the any kind of moisture inside so that the meat doesn't get moldy. That's what this is. That's why they put those micro chamber papers when they seal up those CGC cases. They have some of this inside to absorb any kind of moisture and smells and stuff like that. So downside is this is much more expensive. So this is 240 sheets for $9. This was 100 sheets for $35. So it's much more expensive. It's the sort of thing where I'm not sure that it's cost effective for some of my books. Even if it works, if I've got books that are musty that are worth $5, do I really want to spend another like $2 worth of micro chamber sheets trying to fix them? I'm not sure. But we're going to give this a try. I have one of my haul videos that you haven't seen yet is another store visit where I got some great romance books and really cool stuff and old Archies, and they're all horribly musty. And a couple of them, some of them, I'd be willing to sell. If I can't get rid of the mustiness, I'm going to sell them because it's too much. But there's others where I need to keep them because they're so cool. I'm never going to see them again. Not easy books to find. And so that's where this comes in. I'm going to try and fix them, and I'll give another update. I will actually give you an update this time on how the micro chamber paper works, because if it works, I'm going to want to tell you all about it. Finally, last update for you, and that is on the giveaway, 500 subscriber giveaway. Still having a contest that's going to keep running until I get to the 500 subscribers. I'll have the link down below to the original video where I announced it. All you got to do is subscribe to my video and then leave a comment with a question for my 500 subscriber Ask Me Anything video. If you do that, you'll be entered to win a giveaway. You can also do a support video for me, where if you make a video where you talk about my channel and you talk about your best experiences with a comic creator or a comic creator that you would like to meet but you haven't, that sort of thing, and let me know that you've made the video, and you'll get 3 entries in the contest. Still working on what all I'm going to give away. I don't want to plan it too much because it's going to depend somewhat on who wins. But one of the big prizes, maybe the big prize, is this here. It's a Justice League of America number 200 that is autographed by the great George Perez and the late great Dick Giordano and Gil Kane, in addition to Pat Broderick, are all signatures here. You can see George Perez in the logo. Here's Dick Giordano, Gil Kane, Pat Broderick have all signed this great issue of Justice League. I mean, conditions, not great on this. It's mid-grade at best. But it's got a lot of great signatures from people that unfortunately you can't get signatures from anymore. That's me, the top prize. I'm also going to do a sketch cover for the winner. Tell me, what you want on the sketch cover. I'm going to draw it for you. And I'm going to have some other cool stuff too that I'm going to try and tailor. It's not going to be a huge box of stuff. It's going to be a smaller box, but it's going to have all good stuff. So that's going to end as soon as I hit 500 subscribers. At the time I'm recording this, I'm at 480. So we're getting very close. I'll have the link down below. Just go and watch that and leave a comment. Ask me questions for the Ask Me Anything. I really appreciate all the support. So there's all the updates for this time. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.